Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our 2022 Tree of Life Commemoration. You know, this is one of our most celebrated events as we remember those who we served and cared for at the hospital and in our community. And you know, when you consider the purpose of this gathering, which is specifically to focus on loved ones' lives and how they lived rather than how they died, it occurred to me that although we do have tears and grief, it doesn't have to be sad. As we celebrate the lives of those who have passed and share those positive stories about them and the ways they touched our lives and made them better, we realize why this is a celebration. So whether we've had them with us for a short time or for many years, we are that much luckier for having had them in our lives at all. And now I'd like to introduce our beloved chaplain, Natasha Dashos, for the invocation.
Thank you, Eileen. Good evening. Thank you for entrusting us with your loved ones. It is a privilege to have cared for them and to be with you tonight. Losing a loved one is the hardest thing we have to endure. It not only breaks, but shatters our hearts. And grief is a matter of the heart, a form of love that's proportional to how much we loved. I want to talk to you about the continued bond of that love. The love that I witnessed again and again at the bedside with you and your loved ones. Words like closure or getting over are media terms that have nothing to do with this great matter of the heart. Why would any of us ever want to have closure or get over those we love so deeply? Grief isn't something we go through. It's something that becomes a part of us. Although it is so terribly painful, you will find over time, as you make room for grief's necessary existence, that it becomes a more peaceful and positive presence, one where warm memories and a connection to your loved one can grow. All the world's current and past religious traditions already know this. Spiritual practices dating back 8,000 to 8,000 BCE demonstrate the importance of these continued bonds. Moving ahead in time, we can see the Mexican Day of the Dead, saints' relics, and even modern Facebook legacy pages. A recent beautiful phenomena is Kaze no Denwa, or phone of the wind. This is a beautiful phone box built into the side of a hill with an old rotary dial phone in it. It's not connected, but the numbers are all faded from so many people calling. It was built after the Japanese earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear disaster, when more than 20,000 people died. This phone booth became the connection of those who survived and their loved ones. What's so amazing to me is that thousands of people have come to this phone booth to call their loved ones, not just from the tsunami, but from Japan and all over the world. Inside, there are notes to visitors and framed poems. One reads, "Who will you call on the phone of the wind? When you hear the wind, speak to them from your heart. Tell them how you feel, and your thoughts will reach them." There are so many ways you can connect with your loved ones. Like the phone, you can talk to them anytime. Tonight, we're all gathered, and we can be with everyone's loved ones. How beautiful. And during this time of year, with all the holidays, you're going to be thinking about them. So why not invite them? Cook something they like to cook or they love to eat. Set a place at the table for them. Pull up a chair. Tell stories. Laugh and cry. Use the healing power of imagination to strengthen this continued bond. The Sufi poet Rumi writes, "Your body is away from me, but there is a window open from my heart to yours. From this window, like the moon, I keep sending news and love secretly. Blessings to all of you, your loved one, and all of the continued bonds. Amen."
Thank you, Chaplain Dacius, and Eileen, thank you for the warm welcome earlier. I'm Jill Sibilia. I want to welcome you all this evening. The music that you heard earlier with the names is by one of our volunteers, Jill Scherer. She's a harpist, and she composed that. It's called Sadness to Hope. We've played it a couple of times, and I hope you enjoy it. It's wonderful for the volunteers and all they contribute to our community. We're so grateful for the gifts they give, like the gifts of music, and also the gifts of vocation and spirituality. And later we will hear from one of our other volunteers, Father Ron, the gift of spirituality. We're grateful to have this opportunity to gather virtually with you this evening so that we can share stories, we can hear music, and we can remember those who are dear to us. We're doing this across the Phelps family together, and it is a wonderful moment when we can come together and be with one another and honor those who are dear to us. It's now my pleasure to introduce tonight's family speaker, Grace Hom. I had the honor of meeting Grace about 18 months ago when she called to express gratitude for the care that her father had received here at Phelps. And I'm grateful that she's agreed to share that story with us this evening. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Grace Hom, and I'm so pleased to be addressing you and the Phelps community in memory of my parents and in celebration of my family. A little bit about me and my family. I grew up in Irvington, New York, just 5.5 miles from Phelps. My parents and I moved to Irvington when I was 2 years old, and they held on to the family home for 56 years. My sister and brother were both born at Phelps, and over the very many years, my family had expected and unexpected visits to Phelps, always knowing that we would receive excellent care. Phelps was always a safe haven for us in times of need. In August 2019, my mom passed away unexpectedly at home, and my dad, who had promised my mom to always take care of the home that they built and loved, decided that he needed to stay at the family home after she passed. Then, in early 2020, the mother of all disruptions hit our global community, the COVID pandemic. As with some unfortunate events, there can be silver linings. One of my silver linings was that the pandemic allowed me to work remotely full-time. And I decided to live with my dad, to work remotely and care for him, also sharing some of the load with my brother and sister. My dad's decline was steep. After being together with my mom for over 60 years, it was simply too heartbreaking for him to be without her. In June of 2020, we had to send our dad to the Phelps emergency room due to his health decline. My siblings and I suspected that he would not be returning home, as we could not provide the level of care that he would need. We were distraught, frantically researching hospice facilities, worrying that the COVID lockdown would limit our options. To our amazement and comfort, once the Phelps staff confirmed that our dad would not be able to return home, they told us about the Phelps Comfort Care Room. It was like angels surrounded us to care for my dad and take care of us. Our worries about finding a hospice facility were abated. Our dad could simply be moved upstairs to a comfort care room. Unfortunately, our dad's condition continued to quickly decline, and this is when we met Dr. Espinoza. Dr. Espinoza was our dad's palliative care physician. She explained everything that would happen and that our dad would be in comfort, pain-free. The energy, empathy, and caring spirit that Dr. Espinoza exudes are truly palpable and amazing. We felt like we mattered. Our dad's life mattered. After a day in the ER, a day in the ICU, and 2 more days in a comfort care room, our dad passed away. However, we were able to be with him, and I was able to stay with him overnight, which was unheard of during the COVID lockdown. It was truly a blessing. The comfort care room provided the privacy and peace that we and he needed. Having experienced the peaceful and private nature of the comfort care rooms, after my dad passed, I decided to donate 2 reclining lounge chairs in celebration of my parents so that future families could experience even better care while being cared for by the excellent Phelps staff. I thank you for listening, and I wish all of you happy holidays. Thanks.
Thank you, Grace, for those beautiful words, videos, pictures of your family, for the privilege of taking care of him, for entrusting us here at Phelps, and for all those that are here and all those that we have touched throughout the years. It has always been a privilege to be here in those darkest moments, in those moments of pain, in those moments of uncertainty and not knowing what to expect. It has always been an honor to be able to be there and provide some clarity, even though I may not always be able to take the emotional pain away. Being present here tonight and remembering all those that have come into our lives that have made such a great impact, to know that they're still with us in our hearts, to know that everyone being unique and an individual, as the names go through the screen, bring a different story, bring a different family, bring a different individual who's lived an entire life that we remember, that we can remember with not only with tears, but also remember with joy and happiness. In the moments brings back to me the book of life of what we sow with our tears. What are we reaping in those moments that we are in tears? Are we going to sow love? Are we going to sow empathy? Being present and having known your loved one and being present in those moments and to hear of these stories and to see these pictures just bring about that it matters. It matters the love that we show one another. Doesn't have to end in that moment, and we can celebrate our loved ones by demonstrating love to those that are around us. Because if you can't find somebody who's going to be kind, you can be that person. And though it may not feel right in that moment, knowing that you've made a difference in a moment and where everything just felt wrong. I am privileged to be here at Phelps and to have cared for those who have been entrusted in my care. And I know I speak on behalf of all of us here as a family at Phelps. Thank you for those moments. Thank you for entrusting us in your care. And now I call Natasha Dacius, our beloved chaplain, to come back again.
Thank you, Dr. Espinoza. Dr. Espinoza spoke about the family at Phelps, and all of us are so privileged to care for your loved ones. And I really mean that. It's a team. And you're about to see all the people who have helped care, all the different staff, every one of them that we asked, would you be in this video, all said yes immediately, because it means so much to them to be able to care for your loved ones. So I'm going to start by passing the light, and we'll begin the video as this light honoring your loved one is passed from staff member to staff member. As long as we live, they will too live, for they are now part of us, and we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. For as long as we live, they too will live, for now they are part of us, and we remember them. At the rising sun and at its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of leaves and the beauty of the autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. And now I'm going to turn it to Father Ron.
Father Ron, remember we have to unmute you. Give us 1 second.
Can you hear me now?
Resume.
Okay. Our annual Tree of Life ceremony to commemorate our loved ones who have died reminds me of the role of light in numerous religious traditions. The Hindu celebration of the festival of light called Diwali commemorates the triumph of light over darkness. In Buddhism, enlightenment is the end of a lifelong search for truth. The Jewish feast of Hanukkah is also a festival of light, commemorating the scarce supply of oil that miraculously lasted for 8 days to celebrate the cleansing of the temple after it had been defiled during the time of the Maccabees. In Islam, one of Allah's 99 beautiful names is An-Nur, meaning the light. And the Prophet Muhammad reported seeing blinding lights while communicating with Allah. And the Christian celebration of Christmas is also about light coming into the world, again, celebrating the triumph of light over darkness. As we gather here to commemorate our loved ones who have died, their deaths have cast a dark shadow on all who mourn their passing. That darkness can be oppressive at times, greatly diminishing our joy and even becoming quite debilitating and depressing for many people. But rituals like this, whether coming from our various religious traditions or from secular gatherings in which we reflect on the wonderful legacy of loving memories that we treasure in our hearts, all help to shine a positive light, to banish the darkness of grief and restore us to wholeness. The darkness of grief doesn't have to destroy us. It can never destroy the bond of love, nor can it erase the beautiful memories that we hold dear. So in the midst of darkness and grief, coupled with fear of the next wave of the coronavirus that has held the world captive for so long, along with some exasperation with the political problems here and throughout the world, let us look to the light in whatever way we find it, to flood our whole being with hope and a rekindling of all the joy our loved ones have given us. Along this theme of light versus darkness, I would like to share with you the 13th Psalm, in which the psalmist is also struggling to find the light. He says, "How long, O Lord, will you utterly forget me? How long will you hide your face from me? How long shall I harbor sorrow in my soul and grief in my heart day after day? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look, answer me, O Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, that I may not sleep in death, lest my enemies say I have overcome him. Let my heart rejoice in your salvation. Let me sing of the Lord, for he has been good to me." Amen.